Welcome. We're going to make some birria queso tacos with the Instant Pot. Let's go ahead and get cooking. For this recipe, I'm going to be using 3.5 pounds of beef shank. I like this because it has a really good bone in it that's going to flavor our broth. You could also use a chuck roast. For the peppers, I'm using 6 Guajillo chilies, 1 pascilla chili, and also 1 ancho chili. This ancho chili has a little bit of spice. You could also use a chipotle chili instead. I also have 1 onion, about 7 cloves of garlic, 1/4 cup of apple cider vinegar, a teaspoon of salt and beef bouillon, as well as a tablespoon of beef better than bouillon. This is the equivalent of about 3 tomatoes, and I have some spices: smoked paprika, cumin, bay leaves, coriander, thyme, Mexican oregano, brown sugar, cinnamon, and 1 clove. To season, I'm also going to be using a little bit of this Lowry seasoning salt. Let's go ahead and soften our peppers. I boiled some water and I let them boil for about 15 minutes until they softened up really nicely, and I'm going to start blending my salsa. To do this, I'm just going to be adding all of our softened peppers, our tomatoes, garlic, onion, all of the apple cider vinegar, the salt, and all of the spices into a blender. I'm also going to use a little bit of water just to help everything blend together smoothly. However, I am not going to be putting in my cinnamon or my clove. Those should be left whole to put into the Instant Pot. Give everything a good blend until it becomes nice and smooth. Now, let's season our meat. I'm going to use the Lowry seasoning salt on both sides of this meat. It is very important that you season everything really well. So season it, pat it in, and then we're going to brown it in the Instant Pot. I put my Instant Pot on saute mode. I put in a little bit of vegetable oil, and I put in 2 of my beef shanks at a time, and I let them get a nice color on them. Just flip them over after they set for about 5 minutes on one side, and then do the other side. This color adds a little bit of caramelization and deep flavor to this dish. So to me, it's very important to do this step. Now, after I browned all my meat, I'm putting in all of my salsa, and I'm going to make sure I get everything out of this blender. So I added 4 cups of water to the blender and rinsed everything down. Of course, I couldn't forget my cinnamon or my clove. I put this in the Instant Pot for about 35 minutes. Now, after the 35 minutes was up, I let it completely natural pressure release, which took about an hour. While that was going, I cut up some fresh veggies, and I cut up a lime. I cut up some little bit of onions, these teeny tiny onions from my garden, and I also chopped up some cilantro. This is going to be a part of our tacos. And I also shredded a little bit of mozzarella cheese for the tacos. You can use any type of white melting cheese you enjoy. After a natural pressure release, guys, this meat is so tender, unbelievably tender. It's very soft, it's very juicy. I just love it. I went and I took out the meat and I put it in a separate bowl. By doing your meat in the Instant Pot, this really came together really quickly. Look at how tender this meat is. You cannot tell me this does not look absolutely delicious. And you'll get the same results if you use any sort of fatty beef. Next, I strained my consommé, and I wanted to take out all of the little floating bits and particles like the shredded garlic and onion, but we're not going to throw that away. We're going to keep this, and we're going to add this to our beef. It has lots of flavor. This meat is so tender that all I need to do is use the tongs to break it up, and I season it with a little bit of salt. I felt like it was just, lacking a little bit of salt, and I tossed in all of that pulverized bits from the blender, and I stirred it up together really well. This meat tasted delicious. You also should salt your consommé to taste as well. Go ahead and look at that beef. Does that not look amazing? It's super tasty. Now let's get ready to put those tacos together, y'all. We're gonna skim off the fat of some of that consommé, and we're gonna use this to dip our tacos in because this is a wet taco recipe. So just take off a little bit. Some of the broth got in there, but that's quite all right. I heated a skillet with a little bit of lard, and I dipped in my corn tortilla. Now, y'all, this tortilla started pop, locking, and dropping when I put it in this pan because I had way too much oil in there, And that was an accident, so if you don't have as much oil as me, you probably will not get all this, you know, popping, locking, dropping, bubbles, oil splattering, but it's okay. I toasted it on one side for 1 minute, and then I flipped it over and added my mozzarella cheese, my beef, and I'm also putting in a little cilantro. If you don't get down with the green stuff, you can leave that off. Of course, I put in a little bit of that sweet onion, and I really like sweet onion for this recipe because I just find that they're not quite as strong as the white onion, but you use whatever you like. And then I folded it over to allow it to continue to crisp up. I really wanted a nice, crispy, crunchy outer shell. So I let mine go on each side for about 3 minutes until it got a really nice, crispy coating. So you let yours go as long as you prefer, and then I flipped it over. Of course, you want to continue to watch it to make sure it doesn't burn, and I'm doing mine at about a medium heat because I like to control how quickly my food finishes cooking. After they were nice and crispy, I took them out, and I also did 2 more off camera. So here are my completed tacos. Oh, you cannot tell me these do not look amazing. They are so delicious. They were crunchy, they were juicy, they were super satisfying, and I like to dress mine up with a little bit of lime, and you know that I have to go in and dip my taco in that delicious consomme that I added a little bit of that onion and cilantro to too. This is the first time I had ever had a wet taco, and I was not disappointed. If you have not tried this recipe, go ahead and give this a try because in the Instant Pot, this comes together so quickly. If you enjoyed this recipe, please subscribe and give me a big thumbs up and comment below what is your favorite thing to make with the Instant Pot. Goodbye guys, and thank you for watching.